actions do speak louder than words in some sense. But if you speak, that wires your brain to work in a different way where it's like, okay, that's the objective, you know? Your brain is not gonna think, okay, I'm a loser, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, because then you're actually not gonna do it. If you think the opposite, then you're gonna be working towards your goal because that wires the actions that it takes to get to your goal. So that's why I think words are very important because they amplify your desire to get to the action part, you know? So yeah, it takes motion to get the magic going, you know? It goes words, the world is based on balance. Like balance is what runs this world, and I think a perfect balance of words and action is what it takes to be one of the great people in this world, you know? In my heart, genuinely, it feels like since my first memories in my life, I always felt like I needed to be a special someone to the world and that I had to impact the world in the most positive way possible. Like I can't stress enough about how that's really how I felt the first day I remember something. Like I remember being young, like super short like this and thinking that like I'm going to do something special and it's not even a doubt in my mind. Like it's certainty. It's just a matter of when. And that's why I don't get impatient because it's already written and I can feel it. Recently, I found like, I keep saying this so I sound like a broken record, but I found God and it's like every day, even though shit keeps happening to me, I still like, I don't worry. It's like there's something that's telling, like with a hand on my shoulder all the time. And I'm like, all right, shit just gonna pass through, you know? And it's like, just knowing that my destiny is written, but I also have control over it, like gives me so much motivation. Cause like I know I see it every day in my dreams that I got success coming. And I know that with God, I'm gonna work all the way to it. With that love of God that came into my life, I also developed a fear in the sense of, yo, if I say this, like he's gonna take note and he's gonna say, all right, you wanna say this? All right, I'm gonna show you. So sometimes I don't even wanna risk it. It could be a joke or anything. I don't even wanna risk it. I'm like, just gotta speak goodness into my life, positiveness, success, in whichever form that comes, you know? I think whatever it is you dream of, speak the craziest way about yourself. Like, you gotta speak like you already the man at the boss level of your life, you know? If I'm #1 artist on Billboard, multi-Grammy winner, top producer of all time, that's how I'm speaking right now in my mind. Like, that's exactly how I'm thinking right now. Because if I'm thinking less, I'm not gonna get there. If you tell people I wanna touch the top of this building, you can climb the stairs and take the elevator or whatever. But if you tell people I wanna touch that star over there, they're gonna tell you you're crazy. That's impossible. But that's the way you gotta think. Because in your head, you might not reach that star exactly at the end when it gets, let's say, to 100 years old, but you're gonna have reached like the moon, let's say. And that's already way past what people expect of a human being, you know? So I think that's the whole goal, bro. Just project yourself with words. I kept making the wrong turns and I kept getting slapped down for it. So it's like you can only learn so many, like it can only happen to you so many times until you learn, you know? And if you don't, that's when you really get punished. And I'm like, I'm tired of the punish. Like I'm just going back to, okay, if something bad happens, take it, learn it, don't go back there, but keep moving forward, you know? And now it's about making those decisions. And yeah, I think it's a very new thing. And I'm still learning to do it. Like it's easier said than done. Way easier said. Like always good is always easier said than done. I am a hypocrite. at the end of the day in some way, you know? But I try my best. And every day, I think the best thing for me is self awareness. So if you just self aware and to a certain degree, you're already better than like 50% of people. Because I promise you, 50% of people are not self aware that even here living this life and that they have one. So I think being aware at least 50% of the time, self aware, is already a great achievement. I think I'm at like a 75. I'm pretty generous with myself, but I'm also very tough on myself. So I think that's important in life because if you're not tough on yourself, life will show you very quickly. And there's a healthy way to do it. There's a healthy way to do it. When you achieve something great, give yourself your flowers. You know, do a little celebration, whether it's in real life with your friends, celebrate. You know, it's important for the subconscious to be rewarded with something when you finish. If you're not rewarded, you're just going to learn that it's not necessarily beneficial to you in the long run. I always wanted the whole world to know me in some way because I always thought, like, when I was super young, I was like, I want to end all war. And it's like, I still think that way in a way. Like, I don't want to be a politician or nothing, but it's like, I feel like if I can speak some words to some people, they could think a different way, you know? Not necessarily rewire their brain or change their philosophy, but it's like some things can be avoided in this world, I think. A lot of conflicts, a lot of starvation, genocide, you know, a lot of things like that. And I think I want to have a voice that could reach all the way to that, you know? And I think like I said, that's why I fell in love with music because I'm like, that could be a way for me to do it. Like, that's a way I would feel comfortable doing it. I met these two dudes, Senegalese and Quebecois, like me. And I never met that mix other than me and my brother ever before in my life. So I was like, yo. And they were two brothers, just like me and my brother, and same age difference. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Anyways, one of them shows me his SoundCloud and then he makes music. I'm like, you can make we can make music. And I was at that age where I was really like rapping over all of my favorite songs, like learning them by heart. I knew every song that I have in my playlist, I knew it by heart, and I was rapping it same voice, same tone, whatever. That's how I learned how to rap for real. So I'm like, damn, let me audition for your group. They were in a group of not the both brothers, but just one brother. We're in a group of two other guys. So they were three in total. Then I added myself. We were four, and that's where I started doing music. I discovered hip hop really in high school, and I was like, yo. By the end of the year, I had everything. I knew the whole game, like, and I was following the new trends underground. I remember I was following the beginning of the drill scene. Like, it was in the beginning, but it was like in the really like Chief Keef beginnings and shit. And I was just falling in love with hip hop more and more every day. And I was learning, like I said, all those songs lyric by lyric, and I was like, yo, this is the illest shit. Like, it makes me feel like I just want to rebel out, which was already kind of my nature. And I was like, yo, finally someone who understands my like how I feel. I was like surrounded by all these white people, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, other people think like me, other people feel like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, thank God. So it just made me feel like I belong, made me feel at home, you know, made me feel a whole bunch of good things. Since my upbringing was very, very white in the neighborhood that I had, when I got there and I could share with everyone, because high school was super mixed, you know, it was everybody in there. So it was like, that really felt like it made more sense in my mind. Like, yo, I live on this planet. It's only white people around. Don't make sense, you know? And then I got there. I was like, oh, finally. Like, it felt like a breath of fresh air. And then you're sharing that music with all those communities, and they all feel the same. And you're having debates about, yo, who got the best mixtape on that Piff? Who got, you know what I'm saying? Who dropped the best one this week? Yo, look at this Meek Mill stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think on the bus too, like, you're showing people your music. What, you're just listening to your own music, or you got one headphone each and you're showing each other this shit. You know, I think that was really what made me fall in love with it. And it's good that you pointed it out because I never really. I'm so caught up in what I got to make as an artist and on my own that I forget about sometimes how like music is community driven. My service to the world when it comes to music started with the last three albums that I made, especially the last one. The last one had a different feeling, like a bigger feeling. But the first three, like these three, like they're very special to me. And ironically, they're the pieces of art, except the last one. The last one is picking up. But they're the pieces of art that did the least numbers in my career, which I think most people would think like, oh, I have to switch it up or whatever. But that was the best I've ever felt making music in my life. So I'm like, okay, if I feel good making it, but I'm not getting a lot of numbers, but the people who are listening to me and the people who a lot of people who I admire, especially here, are contacting me to tell me I'm doing the right thing. It means I'm doing the right thing. I was listening to that after a heartbreak and I was like, yo, I really shot myself with that album, you know? And it wasn't even like I didn't put no marketing behind it, no nothing. I didn't barely promoted it. It's like I just made it to make it. And God was like, you didn't have to do that. It was good music, but now you put it out, let's see what happens to you. And that's what happened. And that, yeah, like I said, that was really the moment that I learned how words are powerful. And then I just express it in everything in my life, whether it's in dialogue or music, you know. I think even talking to myself, like sometimes I just drive home and I speak existence to myself while I'm speaking to God and stuff. So I'm like, it's so important to put that out there. It's energy, you know, words have a sound, it's powerful, they have a vibration. People think sometimes whether you know at shows you're preoccupied with shaking multiple hands that when I look at them in the eyes and I shake their hands and I tell them thank you, like maybe they think I'm not being genuine or that's just another thank you to me, but like to me, like that's the most like best feeling in the world. And to me, that's community. I'm not like one entity looking down on this, like we're all sharing something together, you know? Because this is my music and you're listening to my music, but that doesn't put it's a separate thing for both me and you. You know, we're both reuniting over the common thing. And I really hope to have a voice that reaches out to every community, whether it be high ranked or you don't say high ranked, rich, middle class, low class, whatever. Like I want to fix countries. I want to fix the world in some way. So that's community, of course, in the large sense, but whether it be in my local city or neighborhood, you know, like that's really music is the way I want to impact people, and I definitely want to impact the most people possible in the most positive way. If you want to start music and you haven't put a song out yet, it's cool to try, but try in private because music is something, it's like a super weapon that you have to develop in the lab, you know, and you have to get all the right parts and you have to make a schema and you have to draw it down, you know. And I think it's important to shape that diamond up to be the most beautiful thing you can offer to this world. And I think my mistake with this music stuff, which I won't call a mistake because everything happens for a reason, but what I offered to the world before this album, and I'll count the two before because a lot of people told me that it was important to them and my past music too, but these last three albums, before that, I wasn't necessarily doing a service to the world by dropping my music. I was doing a service to me by flattering my ego. Human beings aren't supposed to be connected the way that we are right now. Our brains are supposed to be isolated in some way. You know, people before who didn't have a smartphone think if you think about it, they couldn't go and see who's the hottest girl in Denmark from Montreal, you know, through a Instagram like for you page scroll. It's like if a guy had to meet a girl in Denmark, he had to fly over there and wander in a bar and maybe find her. And it's like, let's say with love, people used to see someone and not know if they were going to see them again. And they had to approach them. and they had to court them in the right way, because you could lose that person any day. But if nowadays you walk into a bar, you could probably find that person on IG through a friend that posts them the next day or whatever it is. So I think that messed up the wiring in our brain in a way. Comparison is a huge thief of joy, and that's like one of the biggest things in this world, because like I said, the phone connected all of us, so now you can go see everyone and who's doing better than you, who's not, and you can play this little game and start treating people different because maybe they have less or more followers than you. So it's whole mind games, but you can't start doing that. And we go back to God, in a certain way. Like, God wouldn't want you comparing yourself to others, thinking you're better. God watches you, and like I said, by loving him, I also unlocked a huge fear that whatever I'm doing here, it's on record. He's taking notes. So I can't just be acting a certain way, and I can't let this thing in my pocket drive the way I live my life. I gotta use it as like I said, if there's a whole lot of negative to it, but it could be your biggest blessing also. You can make it work in a beneficial way for yourself, where you're creating more than you're consuming, or you're promoting more than you're consuming. You use it as a tool, a life tool, a work tool. And it's like, I think it's important to stay grounded. And what's extremely also important is nature. Nature is so important because that's the root of all things. It might seem controversial, but shrooms changed my life in a way where I'm not like trying to promote drugs or anything, but it's a substance. Psilocybin is a substance that genuinely made me reflect and see a lot of things way clearer in my life, where my ego didn't die, but it certainly felt that way for a minute. And you just feel like a kid again, in a sense where you're accepting that you're not the king over here. There's a bigger force than you, and you're not. That like woke me up so quick, because I was always on my, like I always say, words are strong and I speak crazy all the time, but having that humbling experience where you realize you're not the king, you're not the god over here, and you're just one of them. Maybe you can do some more good than others, but you're just one of them. I think that's an experience a lot of humans need to have, if you don't already have that mentality. Nature is the beginning of all of us. It's the root of all things. It's where we're supposed to live. It's where I hope I live one day. Like, I want to live in nature. And I think that's extremely important, because it reminds you that not everything is cement roads and orange cones. And life is a lot happier than you think. And life isn't all about a 9 to 5, money and fame and all of this crap. It's, you just take a walk through nature, and it's winter. It's a bit trash right now. But like in the summer, you walk through the grass, you see the trees, you see the colors, you see everything. It brings out subconsciously a different you. It it connects you to what you're supposed to be in some way. And I think we don't get enough of it. And I think it's very important. We're very emotional people. So some people know how to control it, some people don't. And I think that's what makes the difference, because there's a lot of people that are meant to be great in this world. And there's a lot of people that reach those great levels but do awful things. We see it every day. We see it on that guy on Netflix. I'm not gonna say his name, whatever. It's like, you were meant to be great. You has all those great qualities about yourself, but you used it for the worst. It's like, if God gives you a sword when you're born, like I said earlier, are you gonna kill the humans from your village with it, or are you gonna protect them? I think that's the very important thing. And yeah, I don't know. As an empath, it's like, as much as I see so clearly through others, I see even more clearly through me. And it's like I read myself down sometimes, I check myself. And I think that's super important. And I'm not perfect by any means, because I think I see people clearly in the matter of minutes. and it's not hard. And I think to see people clearly, you have to see yourself clearly. And I always inspected myself to the smallest degree because I was always getting like teased around when I was a kid. So I was always, am I looking right? Am I doing the right thing? Am I making them laugh correctly? You know? So I think that's one of the traumas in my life. It's not related to the same thing as earlier. But yeah, I wasn't like getting pushed around or beat up, you know. I wasn't one of those bullying, but it was just more making fun of, running away from you, whatever. But it's still like I always stayed in denial. Like when I would get bullied, I would laugh and bully me back. When they would run away from me, I would chase them and laugh. And then I would just join the nerds. And then I was like king of the nerds, you know? You know how, as a human being, those little ticks and those little lies or those little moves that you make that you think no one notices? Like, I know those of myself. So I notice them in other people's. So when they move a certain way to me and they think they're hiding it because they think they're the only person in this world that knows that they act that way, I always know and I confront them about it. And now often I just turn that off because I'm like, I can't even, I don't want to, I feel like it's invasive to a human being. To myself, if someone knew that about me, or it's not even that you're trying to hide secrets or you're trying to hide your real you. I think it's kind of a private thing as a human being, the way you react to things also. There's certain people, of course, you're going to share it with, but not everyone. And I think I really see a lot of people clearly. And I have a radar for like special human beings and normal human beings. I don't know how to explain it. It's not to put them on different level. It's just that some people are more aware than others and some people stick to the system more than others and just live life with blinds in front of their eyes and just keep coasting. A year ago, I was jobless and I was doing nothing all day and except making music and going to the gym. So I prayed for this deeply to be busy. I told God, fill up my schedule. I don't care what you do with it. And that's what happened. So I'm not complaining about it, but I'm very overstimulated because it's still new to me. But I love being on that grind. I love being on that go. It's keeping me alive. It's keeping me from keeping my mind away from the negative things that happen, here and there. And this week again, every day is filled up. I got my hair braided. I didn't get my hair cut yet. I gotta get my hair cut. I have a studio session after night tonight. Tomorrow I got an event. Friday I got a performance. I got a show at Fairmount. And then Saturday I leave for Paris for 10 days. So it's like I gotta make sure I got everything ready for that this whole week. And then every day is filled up. So I'm very overstimulated. But I'm also at like one of the most happiest points in my life. I couldn't ask for better, and I'm such in a good space mentally. So to be overstimulated, I can afford plenty of. And if that's like my biggest concern right now, oh, I'm gladly taking that.